Hello, 7th grade teachers. Uh, if you're viewing this, hello, 7th grade teachers. You might be viewing this before cross district, or maybe you're at cross district now and everybody's busy and you're watching this now, and that's perfectly okay. What I want to try to do is just give you a sense of what it is I've asked you to do on this agenda item, with some feedback from some folks who are living in the standards-based grading world, and how this will help you this year and for sure next year as you try to enter into this world of standards-based grading. So I just wanted to remind you, maybe or not, maybe you have or have not seen this blank proficiency scale worksheet or template, but if you haven't, it's a good time to just take some time to look at this to understand what's going on with your work for today. We've had a lot of work in our curriculum trying to define what the essential standards are of the class. And as we've done that, we found that our work is, in some cases, very good and our standards are fine. In other cases, our standards are either too broad or too general, or too specific for our uses. And I'm going to start all over. Hello, 7th grade teachers. I'm making this screencast to give you an idea of what it is that you should be doing today as you start your work on creating proficiency standards. This is something that our 6th grade teachers have worked on, and speaking with teachers in other disciplines, we've really found that this is the work, the indispensable part of doing standards-based grading that really has to be done in order to do it right. And really what it comes down to is having a common understanding of what the standard is and being able to communicate that to each other and to students. And this proficiency scale template that you see in front of you is just sort of the basic understanding that you'll be using as you try to create proficiency standards today for the I can statements that are already done and in our curriculum map. And so I'm going to go through that and then show you where you're going to record that, and this should be very brief. So we have I can statements, which we have used and created from state standards and from those things that we feel students should know and be able to do in our classes. Those standards are what we want to measure when we are doing standards-based grading. Unfortunately, we have a standard, and almost all standards and even skills really need further clarification. They imply certain learned information that we probably all interpret differently. And so the most important work you will do today is defining what a proficient student will do. And that is by looking at the standard and then looking at this idea, how will students actually demonstrate this learning? And we'll look at specific examples in a minute. The student will be able to demonstrate their understanding of blank by doing what? Identifying this, describing this. Maybe it's an evaluate or an analyze objective, and so maybe there are things that they should be able to pull apart or differentiate, but what are the specific learnings and skills that they should be able to do? When we come to a common definition of that, we might find that certain objectives we have are really part of another objective, and we might get rid of them, because the fewer objectives we have, the better we're able to track them. If we get farther than that, the group's next work is to think about, if a student can't do the part that we expect them to do, what's an easier part of that larger objective that students can start with, that they can start to master and find success with without any help? And this might be what we would call a 2, the simpler parts of the learning objective. We're not making it easier by simply making the depth of knowledge easier. We're looking at what are the simpler parts, the parts I have to do in order to do the other part. And then finally, which is a little bit harder, but with practice it gets a little easier, what can a student do to go beyond the learning target? and to do things that we didn't actually teach them in class or make connections. This is the thing we use to push the students that get done with everything early and need some more learning opportunities. This is the perfect chance for those students. Many times this can also be students that are able to take a student that's a 1 or a 2 and help them become proficient. And we might want to find ways to create an atmosphere where these students can mentor each other, and everyone benefits because of that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to go to our curriculum map, and I've created a place for us to look at the objectives of the class and then to understand what we have 4, 3, 2, 1, and try to define first what is an on-track student. The student that's going to do exactly what we taught them in class. Well, what is it that we're going to teach them in class? And so you might notice that this is the 6th grade curriculum map, and we have an objective, and this group has worked really hard to come up with a specific vocabulary, terminology, specific thinking that students will do. This is what we will all teach. And if we go, and the students be able to go beyond that and give other examples or make connections to current events or other events that we've learned in class, wow, that's a student we want to give a 4. And if a student can only do part of that, are they able to do part of that? Well, what do they have to do before they get to this? Is there a step before that? Maybe they can give limited information. We never have to worry about the 1, because the 1 is a student that can only do the number 2 stuff or the number 3 stuff if somebody is standing there prompting them, giving them ideas, sort of prodding them along. So that's the 6th grade curriculum map. This is the 7th grade curriculum map. This is your current unit. This is Central America. And there's a space here for you. I'd like for you to start here at the level 3. What exactly does this mean? What should all students be able to do? And then work across. And if we get past that proficient statement, then we can work on the 2 and the 4. And this might take a little bit of practice, but once you get started, it won't be so bad. If we get past that, South America is ready also, but we may not get there today. So just a one last reminder here. We have 2 objectives that are really they're really right-wrong kind of things rather than an understanding. And so the 6th grade has really looked at map skills in a little different way than other objectives, considering that a perfect student, a student may not have to get every single answer correct for identifying stuff on a map. And so they've really come up with the understanding that maybe 80 to 100% is a proficient student, because every student might miss 1 or 2 locations on a map test. And so that's really the only place where we're really applying a percentage. Everywhere else we're trying to really define what proficiency is, what advanced is, and what the more basic level is. So if we can apply that today and get an understanding of that, we'll be way further ahead than we would be starting out with our curriculum writing this summer.